There is a silent pandemic sweeping the nation, and it has nothing to do with a virus. Right now, nearly half of all Americans report feeling cripplingly lonely. Not because they're isolated, but because they're invisible. Section 1. The silent pandemic. Have you ever stood in a crowded room, a party, or even a work meeting and felt like you were behind a wall of glass? You see everyone laughing and connecting, but when you try to speak, your words feel awkward and heavy. They just thud. You go home and replay every conversation, cringing at what you said or what you didn't say, and that quiet dread washes over you. Maybe I'm just not good with people. But what if I told you that feeling is a lie? It's not a personality flaw. It's not about being an introvert or an extrovert. It's a skill gap. The truth is, there are unwritten rules to human connection, a kind of code that certain people seem to know instinctively. A code that allows them to walk into any room and command attention, build instant rapport and create deep, meaningful relationships effortlessly. For the next 70 minutes, I'm going to give you that code. This isn't about cheap tricks or manipulative tactics. This is the charisma code, the blueprint for transforming social anxiety into magnetic confidence, one conversation at a time. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will change not just how you talk to people, but how you see yourself forever. Section 2. The setup. Unlocking your social genius. You've seen them, right? That one person at the office, at the party, or in your friend group who just seems to have it all figured out. They walk into a room, and it's like a spotlight follows them. They tell a story, and the whole table goes silent, hanging on every word. They ask a simple question, and people open up to them like they've known them for years. They make connections look so effortless, so natural, and for years you've probably told yourself a story about them. Oh, she's just an extrovert. He was born charismatic. I could never be like that. Let me be the first to tell you, that is the single biggest lie holding you back. Charisma is not a personality trait you're born with. It's a muscle you build in the gym. No one walks into a gym for the first time and benches 300 pounds. You start with the bar, you learn the form, and you train consistently. Communication is the exact same. The natural talker you admire, they've just been putting in the reps longer than you. Maybe they grew up in a massive family where they had to fight to be heard. Maybe they worked in sales, facing rejection thousands of times. They didn't start with magic. They started with practice. The only difference between them and you is that no one ever handed you the workout plan. Well, that ends today. Forget your past failures. Forget every awkward silence and every conversation you've replayed in your head. We are officially stepping into the social gym, and I'm going to give you the blueprint, the 3 hidden frameworks that govern all successful human interaction. This is your training plan for building unshakable confidence, creating magnetic connections, and unlocking the social genius that is already inside you, waiting to be unleashed. Section 3. Engagement hook, the awkward silence test. But before we unlock the first part of the charisma code, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest. Picture this: you're in a conversation, it's your turn to talk, and your heart starts pounding. What is the number one fear that hijacks your brain in that moment? Is it that terrifying, crushing, awkward silence? The moment when the conversation just stops and your mind goes completely blank, scrambling for something, anything to say? Or is it the fear of saying the wrong thing? That foot-in-mouth moment you just know you'll be replaying in your head at 2 a.m. Do me a favor. In the comments below, tell me your biggest communication demon. Just type the word silence if it's the awkward pause, or wrong thing if it's the fear of messing up. Go ahead, I want to see what we're all up against. Because whatever your answer is, I promise you, we are about to dismantle that fear piece by piece. Section 4. The Charisma Code. Part 1. Broadcasting confidence. Think of your personal presence like a Wi-Fi signal. You can have the fastest, most brilliant device in the world, your mind, your ideas, your personality, but if your signal is weak, glitchy, and constantly dropping out, nobody can connect with you. You become frustrating, forgettable. On the other hand, someone with a powerful, stable 5-bar signal is immediately accessible. They radiate reliability and strength, and people connect to them without a second thought. This is the first secret of the charisma code. You are broadcasting your value long before you ever say a word. Your body, your eyes, and your voice are sending out a constant stream of data that tells people whether you're confident, insecure, trustworthy, or anxious. Most people let this signal run on default, and their default is broadcasting fear. But you are going to learn how to broadcast pure, authentic confidence. It starts with your posture. Look around you. For the person slumped over their phone, shoulders curled inward, making themselves smaller, their body is screaming, "Don't look at me. I'm not important. I'm not a threat." They are actively shrinking their own presence. Now picture the person who stands tall, shoulders back with their chest open. They aren't puffing out their chest in arrogance. They are simply claiming the space they occupy. Their body sends a clear signal. I am present. I am open. I am comfortable with myself. This isn't about faking it. It's about aligning your physical self with the value you know you have inside. Next is your eye contact. This is where most people crash and burn. They either stare with an unnerving intensity that feels like an interrogation, or their eyes dart around the room like a nervous animal looking for an escape route. Both signals broadcast insecurity. Powerful eye contact is a relaxed, steady gaze that says, "I see you, I am listening, and I am not afraid." You're not trying to win a staring contest. You're offering a window into your focus and sincerity. But the final piece, the one that truly separates the amateurs from the masters, is your vocal tone. Your words are just the lyrics. Your tone is the melody, and the melody is what moves people. Think about it. You can say, "I'm so excited about this," in a flat, monotone voice, and it means absolutely nothing. But if you say it with energy, with a rising inflection, and with a rhythm that has life in it, people feel your excitement. Confident speakers don't rush. They aren't afraid of silence. In fact, they use pauses as a tool, a moment for their words to land with impact, to build anticipation. They speak from their diaphragm, not their throat, giving their voice a rich, grounded quality. Anxious voices tend to go up in pitch at the end of sentences, making statements sound like uncertain questions. Confident voices have a downward inflection, signaling conviction and certainty. Let me tell you a story. A young programmer named Alex had an interview for his dream job at a major tech company. He was brilliant. He knew the code inside and out. But in past interviews, his nerves had always betrayed him. He'd slouch, mumble, and rush his answers, broadcasting a signal of pure panic. This time he decided to focus only on his broadcast signal. Before the interview, he stood in the bathroom like a superhero, shoulders back, chin up. As he walked into the room, he made warm, deliberate eye contact with the interviewer and gave a firm handshake. When he spoke, he consciously slowed his pace down, breathing deeply and letting his voice settle in a lower register. He even dared to pause for a second before answering a tough question, just to gather his thoughts. The interviewer leaned in, nodded, and treated him not like a nervous kid, but like a respected colleague. Alex didn't say anything more brilliant than he had in other interviews. The facts were the same. But his delivery, his signal, had changed everything. He broadcasted confidence, and in return, he was met with respect. He got the job, but broadcasting your confidence is only the first half of the equation. Once you have their attention and respect, you need to know how to understand their world. You need to develop a kind of social X-ray that lets you see their true feelings and motivations, and the secret to that, the most underrated superpower in all of human communication is... Coming up next, Section 5, The Charisma Code, Part 2. The art of social X-ray broadcasting confidence gets you in the door. It makes people notice you, respect you, and listen to what you have to say. But once you're in, the game changes. It's no longer about broadcasting. It's about receiving. This is where you develop a superpower that 99% of people will never master, the art of social X-ray. A medical X-ray sees past the skin to the bone underneath. A social X-ray sees past the words people say to the emotions they feel. Most of us are terrible at this because we don't actually listen. We wait. We wait for our turn to talk. While the other person is speaking, we're not hearing their message. We're busy inside our own heads, running a frantic internal monologue. Okay, what am I going to say next? That was a dumb point they just made. I should tell my story now. Do they like me? This internal noise jams the signal. You're hearing the words, but you're missing the truth. True masters of connection do the opposite. They silence their own ego and turn their full attention outward. This is deep listening, not just hearing but understanding. Let me show you how powerful this is in the real world. Think of an FBI hostage negotiator. They're facing someone who is desperate, angry, and irrational. Do you think they go in arguing with logic? So you should put down the weapon because statistics show this will end poorly for you. Of course not. That would get them killed. Instead, they use a technique called tactical empathy. A legendary negotiator, Chris Voss, talks about a time he was on the phone with a bank robber, surrounded by police. The man was agitated, yelling, and ready to do something terrible. Voss didn't argue. He didn't offer solutions. He just listened, and then he said, "It sounds like you're worried the police are going to rush in and hurt you. It seems like you feel trapped and nobody is listening." He was using two key techniques: labeling the man's emotions, "It sounds like you're worried," and mirroring his words. In that moment, something incredible happened. The bank robber went quiet. And then he said, "Yeah, that's right." Voss didn't say, "I agree with you." He said, "I hear you." By simply giving a name to the man's fear and showing he understood, he deactivated the panic. He built a bridge of trust in the middle of a crisis. The man calmed down, the negotiations continued, and he eventually surrendered peacefully. Now you're not negotiating hostage situations, but you are negotiating for connection every single day. With your boss, who is stressed about a deadline. With your partner, who is upset but won't say why. With a friend who is going through a tough time. When you try to fix them with logic, you shouldn't be so upset, or "Here's what you need to do, sir." You are invalidating their feelings and pushing them away. But when you use the social X-ray, you connect. Instead of saying, "Don't worry," you say, "It sounds like you're really anxious about this presentation." Instead of giving advice, you mirror their last few words. If they say, "I'm just so overwhelmed at work," you simply say, "Overwhelmed at work?" This small prompt invites them to go deeper, without you having to say anything else. When you make someone feel truly seen and heard, their defenses drop. Trust is built. This is the secret to unlocking genuine connection. It feels like magic to them, but for you it's a skill. You've learned how to broadcast confidence and how to read the emotional truth of a room. You've got the two foundational pieces of the code. But now it's time to learn how to use that understanding to drive the conversation forward, to get out of the shallow waters of small talk and into the deep end where real bonds are formed. That's coming up next. Section 6, the connection engine, from small talk to deep bonds. We've all been trapped there. That conversational purgatory known as small talk. You're at a party, a networking event, or even on a date, and the conversation is going nowhere fast. You're talking about the weather, the traffic, what you do for work. It's a series of polite, boring, dead-end exchanges. It feels like you're revving an engine, making a lot of noise, but you're stuck in neutral. You leave the interaction feeling drained and more disconnected than when you started. This is where most people give up. They conclude, "Well, we just didn't have any chemistry." But that's a myth. Chemistry isn't found, it's created. And you create it by learning how to shift the conversation out of neutral and into gear. Welcome to the connection engine. The gearbox for this engine is a powerful framework I call the 3-level questioning technique. Mastering this is the key to turning any stranger into a friend and any acquaintance into a confidant. Level 1, the handshake, surface questions. This is your starting gear. Surface questions are safe, simple, and non-threatening. They are the handshake of conversation. They're about establishing initial contact and gathering basic facts. This is your "Where are you from?" That's "What do you do?" or "How do you know the host?" They are absolutely necessary, but here's the secret. You don't stay here for more than a minute. The only goal of a level 1 question is to find a doorway to level 2. The bridge, story questions. This is where the magic begins. Story questions build a bridge from facts to feelings and experiences. You're no longer asking what. You're asking why and how. You take their level 1 answer and go one layer deeper. They say, "I'm a graphic designer." You don't say, "Oh, cool." You ask, "What inspired you to get into a creative field like that?" They say, "I'm originally from Ohio." You ask, "What was the biggest change moving from there to here?" They say, "I've worked there for 5 years." You ask, "Tell me about a project you worked on that you were really passionate about." See the shift? You've just invited them to tell you a story. You've given them a platform to share their journey, their passions, and their challenges. This is where rapport is built. 90% of a great conversation lives right here in level 2. This is also where you practice adaptability. You listen to their tone and body language to see if they are excited to share. If they are, you know the bridge is solid. Level 3, the vault, soul questions. This is the final gear and you must use it with care. Soul questions open the vault to a person's values, dreams, and core identity. You can only go here once you've built a solid bridge of trust in Level 2. Asking a Level 3 question too soon feels invasive, but at the right moment, it creates an unforgettable bond. What's a challenge in your life that you're secretly proud you overcame? What does success really mean to you beyond your job title? What's something you're more curious about now than you were 5 years ago? These questions make people pause, reflect, and connect with you on a profoundly deep level because you're showing interest not just in what they do, but in who they are. Imagine you're on a first date. Instead of staying at Level 1 with, "Do you like movies?" you can build a bridge with, "What's a movie that completely changed the way you think?" Level 2. And if the connection feels strong, you can unlock the vault with, "What's a value you try to live by every day?" Level 3. You've just transformed a forgettable date into a meaningful connection. Now you have the keys to the connection engine. You know how to ask the questions that unlock anyone's story. But there's another side to this coin. When they ask you a question, how do you respond? Do you give a boring one-word answer? Or do you tell a story so captivating it makes them lean in and never forget you? Learning to do that is the final piece of the puzzle. And it's exactly what we're diving into next. Section 7. The Unforgettable Storyteller, Hacking the Human Heart. Your brain is designed to delete information. Think about it. The data from that boring presentation you sat through last week, deleted. The bullet points from that company-wide email, deleted. Facts, figures, and logic are like temporary files on a computer. Your brain holds them for a moment and then purges them to save space. But a story? A story gets a VIP pass. A story bypasses the logical gatekeeper and plugs directly into the emotional core of the human brain. When you hear data, only the language parts of your brain light up. But when you hear a story, your brain goes into overdrive. It's a full sensory 4K experience. The emotional centers light up, the sensory cortex starts firing, and you don't just hear the story. You begin to live it. This is the ultimate communication hack. If you want to be memorable, if you want to influence, if you want to connect, you don't deliver a lecture. You tell a story. The mistake most people make is thinking their life isn't interesting enough. They believe they need some heroic, dramatic tale to be a storyteller. That's completely wrong. The most powerful stories aren't about climbing Mount Everest. They are small human moments of struggle and growth that everyone can relate to. All you need is a simple framework. Think of it as your 3-act mini-movie. Act 1. The hook, the challenge. Every great story starts with a relatable person facing a clear challenge. Not a generic problem, but something specific. Don't say I was unhappy. Say I was stuck in a dead-end job watching the clock tick down every single day. Act 2. The messy middle. The struggle. This is the most important part. You must show the struggle. This is where you reveal your humanity. People don't connect with your perfection. They connect with your pain. Talk about the failed attempts, the self-doubt, and the moment you almost gave up. This is where your audience leans in, because they see themselves in your vulnerability. Act 3. The payoff, the resolution, and the lesson. What changed? How did you overcome the struggle? And most importantly, what is the one lesson you learned that you can give to the listener? A story without a lesson is just entertainment. A story with a lesson is a gift that can change someone's life. Think about the most famous Super Bowl commercials. They aren't lists of product features. They are 60-second mini-movies. Remember that Google ad called Loretta? An elderly man uses the search bar to remember his late wife. The challenge. He's alone telling his Google assistant, "Show me photos of me and Loretta." The struggle. We see his search history as he tries to piece together his memories. How to not forget? He types in small, heartbreaking details. "She hated my mustache. She loved going to Alaska, and she always snorted when she laughed." The resolution and lesson. The commercial ends with a slideshow of his life with her, built from his memories. The lesson isn't by Google. The lesson is that love and memory are the most precious things we have. It hits you right in the heart. That is the power you have. Your story, about a time you failed and learned resilience, a small kindness you received that restored your faith in people, or a risk you took that changed your life, is a treasure. That changed your life is a treasure. You now know how to build a presence that commands respect. You know how to listen with empathy. You know how to ask the questions that create deep bonds. And now you have the ultimate tool to make your message unforgettable. But what happens when you put yourself out there, when you tell your vulnerable story, and you're met with criticism, conflict, or rejection? How do you stand strong without losing your voice? Building a bulletproof mindset for those moments is the final key to becoming truly unstoppable. And that's exactly where we're going next. Section 8. The Bulletproof Mindset. Thriving in conflict and criticism, you've done the work. You've learned how to broadcast confidence, listen with empathy, create deep connections, and tell unforgettable stories. You're ready to step into the arena. But the moment you do, the moment you put your authentic self on the line, you must be prepared for one unavoidable truth. Not everyone will applaud. You will face conflict. You will receive criticism. You will experience rejection. This is not a possibility. It is a guarantee. And for most people, this is the moment their courage shatters. One harsh comment, one dismissive look, one no, and they retreat back into the safety of silence, convinced they aren't good enough. This is the final battleground, and winning it requires you to forge a bulletproof mindset. The problem is, we are wired to treat social rejection like a physical threat. To our primal brain, being cast out from the tribe meant death. So when your boss criticizes your idea, or a stranger leaves a nasty comment on your post, your body floods with the same panic hormones as if you were facing a predator. Your instinct is to either fight back with anger or flee into silence. Both are losing strategies. The key to breaking this cycle comes from the ancient Stoic philosophers. They taught a simple but life-altering concept called the dichotomy of control. It's a mental model that separates the world into two buckets: things you cannot control, things you can control. You cannot control what other people think. You cannot control if they agree with you. You cannot control their mood, their biases, or their past experiences that shape their reactions. Wasting a single drop of energy trying to manage their response is the definition of insanity. But you have absolute 100% control over two things: your integrity and your response. You control the effort you put in. You control whether you speak your truth with respect. And you control how you choose to interpret their feedback. Let me tell you about a young chef named Maya. She poured her heart and soul into creating a new, innovative restaurant. On opening night, a famous food critic came in. The next day, his review was published, and it was brutal. He called her food confused, pretentious, and a noble failure. Maya's first instinct was to crumble. The critic's words felt like a verdict on her entire identity. But then she remembered the dichotomy of control. She couldn't control the critic's opinion or his sharp-tongued review. That was outside her circle. But she could control her response. Instead of lashing out or giving up, she did something remarkable. She sat down with his review and asked herself one question. Putting my ego aside, what is the 10% of truth in this criticism that I can learn from? She realized that while his words were harsh, his point about one of her sources being overpowering was actually valid. He was wrong about her heart, but he was right about the source. She didn't let his negativity define her. She took the tiny piece of useful data, refined the recipe, and kept moving forward. A year later, her restaurant was one of the most popular in the city. She didn't win by fighting the critic. She won by refusing to let him control her response. This is the bulletproof mindset in action. When you face conflict, pause. Don't react on instinct. Breathe. Ask yourself, what part of this is outside my control? And what is the one thing I can control right now? You can't control their anger, but you can control your calm. You can't control their criticism, but you can control your curiosity. You don't have to agree with them, but you can respond with a quiet strength. I hear your perspective. Thank you for sharing it. You've now learned to stand firm in the face of fire. You have the tools, the techniques, and the mindset. The only thing left is to make a conscious, deliberate choice about the kind of communicator you are going to be from this day forward. It's time to stop reacting and start setting your own standards. It's time for a reset, and that's exactly what's coming next. Section 9. The Mindset Reset. Your new communication standards we have reached a turning point. A moment of truth. For the last hour you have been absorbing tools, tactics, and frameworks, but knowledge without action is just trivia. It's entertainment. It changes nothing. What transforms your life is not what you learn, but what you decide. For years, you have been running on a default operating system, one that was likely installed by fear, past failures, and the quiet belief that you weren't enough. Its default settings were silence over truth, comfort over courage, and self-doubt over self-respect. Right here, right now, you are going to install a new OS. This is your mindset reset. This is the moment you stop drifting through conversations unconsciously and start showing up with deliberate, unshakable intention. You are no longer a passenger in your social life. You are the pilot. And a pilot operates with a set of non-negotiable standards. I challenge you to set 3. Not 20, not 10, just 3 powerful standards that you will refuse to violate from this day forward. They will become your new code, your personal constitution for communication. Standard number 1, truth with compassion. Your first standard is to refuse to let unspoken words poison your relationships. No more hiding your feelings, swallowing your needs, or avoiding the truth to keep a false peace. You will speak your truth, but you will do so with respect and kindness. This isn't a license to be brutal. It's a commitment to be authentic. You will say what needs to be said because you value the relationship too much to let it die in silence. Standard number 2, presence over perfection. Your second standard is to let go of the need to be flawless. You will stop rehearsing every line in your head and start showing up fully in the moment. You will give people the gift of your undivided attention. You will listen to understand, not just to reply. You will value a real, messy human connection more than a polished, empty performance. Standard number 3, courage over comfort. Your final standard is to actively choose courage when comfort calls your name. You will have the conversation that terrifies you. You will ask for what you want. You will share the story you think is not interesting enough. You will embrace the possibility of rejection as the price of admission for a life of growth and opportunity. You will no longer allow fear to make your world small. This is your new code. Truth with compassion, presence over perfection, courage over comfort. I want you to do something right now. Not later, not tomorrow. Pause this and write those 3 standards down. Put them on a sticky note on your computer. Make them the lock screen on your phone. Burn them into your memory. This is your declaration of independence from social anxiety. This is the contract you are making with your future self. You've set your new standards. You've forged your bulletproof mindset. Now it's time to bring it all home. I'm about to distill this entire journey into the 5 most critical, life-changing lessons that you can start using the second this ends. This is your final briefing. Don't miss it. Section 10, The Social Legacy, 5 Unbreakable Rules to Live By. The journey you've taken isn't just about learning a few new tricks for your next party. It's about a fundamental transformation in how you see yourself and your place in the world. You've stepped into the gym, you've learned the exercises, and you've installed a new operating system. Now it's time to walk out into the world and start living it. But to make this change stick, to ensure it becomes a permanent part of who you are, you need a simple, powerful code to live by. Forget the complex theories and the dozens of techniques. I want to leave you with 5 unbreakable rules. If you commit to these 5 rules, you won't just improve your social skills. You will build a social legacy. You will become the person others remember for the warmth, strength, and connection you brought into their lives. Rule number 1, seek to understand before you seek to be understood. This is the golden rule of connection. The ego always wants to go first. It wants to state its opinion, tell its story, and prove its worth. But true influence comes from reversing that instinct. When you enter a conversation, your first mission is to understand the world of the person in front of you. Deploy your social X-ray. Listen with the intent to learn, not to rebut. When people feel that you are genuinely curious about their world, they will willingly and eagerly ask to enter yours. This single shift will make you one of the most charismatic people in any room you enter. Rule number 2, broadcast your value, never apologize for it. From this day forward, you will refuse to shrink. You will stand tall, make steady eye contact, and speak with a voice that is grounded in self-respect. You will eliminate the apologetic language, the "this is probably a stupid idea, but," or "sorry to bother you." Your presence is not a bother. It is a gift. Your ideas are not stupid. They are contributions. Remember the Wi-Fi signal. A weak apologetic signal gets no connection. A strong, clear signal invites the world to connect with you. Own your space, own your voice, and own your voice. Own your space, own your voice, and own your voice. Own your space, own your voice, and own your value. Rule number 3. A story is worth 1,000 facts. Logic makes people think, but emotion makes people act. Never deliver a dry, lifeless piece of information when a story can carry it directly into the heart of your listener. Your life, with all its struggles, small victories, and messy lessons, is a goldmine of stories. Learn to see your experiences as treasures to be shared. Use the 3-act mini-movie: the challenge, the struggle, the resolution. Whether you're inspiring your team, connecting on a date, or teaching your child a lesson, wrap your message in a story. Facts will be forgotten by tomorrow. Their story will be remembered for a lifetime. Rule number 4. Disagreement is an opportunity, not a threat. The bulletproof mindset understands that conflict and criticism are not signs of failure. They are signs of engagement. When someone challenges you, do not retreat into silence or explode in anger. See it as an opportunity to practice grace under pressure. Use the dichotomy of control. Focus only on what you can control: your calm, your respect, and your response. You don't have to win the argument. You just have to win your own self-mastery. When you can stand in the fire of disagreement without getting burned, you earn a level of respect that passive agreement can never give you. Rule number 5. Courage is a muscle, not a feeling. You will never feel ready to have that difficult conversation. You will never feel fearless when you step on that stage. Waiting for the feeling of confidence to arrive is the ultimate trap. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act in spite of it. Courage is a muscle, and it only grows when you use it. Every time you choose to speak up when it's uncomfortable, you are doing a rep. Every time you risk rejection, you are getting stronger. Don't wait for the feeling. Make the choice. These are your 5 rules. Understand before being understood. Broadcast your value. Tell the story. See conflict as an opportunity. And choose courage over comfort. Live by this code and your life will transform. The loneliness will recede. The opportunities will multiply. The relationships will deepen. You have the blueprint. You have the tools. You have the code. Now go out there and build your legacy. Section 11. The Social Architect. Building your inner circle. For many people, friendships are a matter of circumstance. The people you went to school with, the colleagues in your department, and the neighbors on your street. These relationships are often based on proximity, not genuine connection. And as life moves on, as you change jobs or cities, you find that your social circle shrinks, leaving you feeling isolated. You accept this as a sad fact of adult life, but what if you stopped being a passive occupant of your social world and became its architect? A social architect doesn't wait for friendships to happen. They design a life where meaningful connection is inevitable. They understand that a thriving inner circle, a group of people who support, challenge, and inspire you, is not a luxury. It is essential for a happy life. They don't just find friends, they build a community. So how do you do it? How do you go from a few circumstantial acquaintances to a robust inner circle? You follow the architect's 3-step blueprint: the foundation, the framework, and the finishing. Step 1. The foundation. Know your pillars. An architect never builds without understanding the purpose of the structure. You must first get clear on what you're building for. What are the pillars of a meaningful friendship for you? Too often, we accept anyone who is friendly into our lives without asking if they align with our core values. Take out a piece of paper and write down the 3 most important qualities you need in a close friend. Is it intellectual curiosity? Is it a shared sense of humor? Is it unwavering loyalty? Emotional vulnerability? A passion for personal growth? Be specific. These are your non-negotiable pillars. This isn't about being judgmental. It's about being intentional. When you know what you're looking for, you suddenly start seeing it everywhere. Step 2. The framework. Create hubs of connection. An architect designs spaces that encourage interaction. You need to do the same for your social life. You can't build a community sitting at home alone. You need to create or join hubs, environments where you can consistently interact with people who are likely to share your pillars. If one of your pillars is intellectual curiosity, where do those people gather? A book club, a lecture series at a local university, a debate society, a coding bootcamp. If a pillar is health and wellness, you join a running club, a yoga studio, or a hiking group. The key here is consistency. Showing up once is a lottery ticket. Showing up every week is a strategy. It's through repeated low-pressure interactions that acquaintances slowly blossom into friendships. A client of mine, a software engineer named Ben, felt incredibly lonely after moving to a new city. His only pillar was that he wanted friends who were nice. It was too vague. We defined his pillars: a love for strategy games, a passion for technology, and a desire for deep philosophical conversations. With that clarity, he built his framework. He joined a weekly board game meetup. He started attending tech talks in his city. He even started a small philosophy on tap group at a local pub. Within 6 months, he wasn't just meeting people. He was building a thriving community of like-minded individuals. He didn't wait for it. He engineered it. Step 3, the finishing, the art of the invitation. This is the final, crucial step where most people fail. You've met interesting people in your hubs, but they are still hub friends. To move them into your inner circle, you must take the initiative to bridge the gap from a group setting to a personal one. This requires the courage of the invitation. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. The magic is in the small, specific, low-pressure offer. Instead of saying, "We should hang out sometime," you say, "I really enjoyed our conversation about sci-fi. I'm grabbing coffee this Saturday at that new spot downtown. Want to join?" Instead of waiting for them to act, you become the catalyst. A few of us from the running club are going for brunch after our run on Sunday. We'd love for you to come. You are taking the social risk, which signals confidence and genuine interest. Yes, some people will say no. That is not a rejection of you. It's a reflection of their busy lives. But many will say yes, and that is how the first brick of a real friendship is laid. Be the architect of your social life. Know your pillars. Build your framework of hubs. And master the art of the invitation. Stop leaving your happiness to chance and start designing the rich, connected, and supportive life you deserve. We live a huge portion of our lives through a screen. Our friendships, our careers, and our romantic relationships are now built and maintained through text messages, emails, and social media comments. In this digital world, your words are your avatar. They are your body language, your tone of voice, and your handshake all rolled into one. And yet most people communicate online with all the grace of a sledgehammer. Their texts are flat and ambiguous. Their emails are cold and robotic. Their social media presence is either invisible or inauthentic. They fail to realize that the principles of charisma, warmth, clarity, and value are even more critical when you don't have a smile or a confident posture to back you up. Mastering digital charisma is no longer an optional skill. It's the new frontier of connection. It's about learning to project your authentic personality through the cold medium of a screen. Let's break down the 3 main arenas: the text, the email, and the social feed. Arena 1, the art of the engaging text. The biggest sin of texting is the boring, dead-end message. Think about the difference between these two exchanges. Scenario 1, the charisma void. You: "Hey, how was your weekend?" Them: "Good. And you?" You: "Good." And the conversation is dead. That exchange is a chore. It demands effort from the other person, but provides no energy. Now let's inject some digital charisma. The key is to give before you ask and to end with an open door. Scenario 2, the charismatic text. You: "Hey, just got back from hiking at the state park. It was incredible. Hope you had a great weekend. Up to anything fun?" Let's break down why this works. You shared a piece of your life, which adds personality and warmth. You expressed positive energy. It was incredible. And you asked an open-ended question that invites a story, not a one-word answer. You've made it easy and enjoyable for them to respond. Another key is to use punctuation and emojis to convey tone. A period can sound final or even angry. An exclamation point conveys warmth and energy. A well-placed emoji can add the playfulness or empathy that your voice normally would. Don't overdo it, but don't be afraid to give your text a voice. Arena 2, the professional, yet human email in the professional world. The default is to be overly formal and robotic, believing it makes you sound serious, but it often just makes you sound cold and forgettable. Your goal is to be efficient but human. The robotic email, subject, meeting inquiry, dear Mr. Smith. Per my previous communication, I am writing to schedule a follow-up meeting to discuss the project deliverables. Please advise as to your availability. This is technically correct, but it has the personality of a toaster. The charismatic email. Subject, quick question about the project. Hi John, hope you're having a productive week. Hope you're having a productive week. Following up on our chat Monday, I had a couple of quick ideas about the deliverables that I think could really streamline the process. Do you have 15 minutes to connect sometime tomorrow or Friday? Best Sarah, this is a world of difference. It has a warm opening. The subject line is clear and informal. It frames the meeting around providing value, streamline the process, rather than just demanding their time. It's professional, but it sounds like it was written by a human being you'd actually want to work with. Arena 3, the authentic social feed. Your social media profile is your digital first impression. Many people fall into two traps. The perfect life trap, where every post is a polished, unrelatable highlight reel, or the ghost trap, where they are too afraid to post anything at all. Digital charisma on social media is about authentic value sharing. It follows the 80-20 rule. 80% of what you share should be about giving value to your network, sharing an interesting article, a useful tip, a funny observation, or celebrating someone else's success. 20% can be about you and your own achievements. When you do share about yourself, use the storytelling framework. Don't just post the picture of your award. Tell the brief story of the struggle and the team that helped you get there. Vulnerability and gratitude are magnetic online. They cut through the noise of perfection and create genuine connection. Your digital voice is an extension of your real one. Don't let it be flat, cold, or silent. Inject it with personality, warmth, and value. Master digital charisma, and you can build relationships, opportunities, and a positive reputation 24 hours a day. Anywhere in the world, there is a secret weapon in the arsenal of every master communicator. It's a tool so powerful, it can instantly disarm tension, create a deep sense of rapport, make any message more memorable, and signal a high level of social intelligence. That weapon is humor. When you make someone laugh, a remarkable thing happens in their brain. It releases a cocktail of positive neurochemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. In that moment, you are literally chemically making them feel good. Their defenses drop. They see you as friendly and confident, and they become more open to you and your ideas. Laughter is the shortest distance between two people, but for most people, the idea of being funny is terrifying. They think you have to be a natural-born comedian, ready with a perfectly timed punchline. They're afraid of telling a joke that falls flat, or worse, saying something that offends someone. So they play it safe and keep their communication serious, sterile, and ultimately less effective. The truth is, you don't need to be a stand-up comic to leverage the humor advantage. You just need to understand the difference between high-risk joke-telling and low-risk wit and lightness. Joke-telling is a performance. Wit is an observation, and lightness is an attitude. Let's focus on the last two. Principle 1. The power of self-deprecation with a twist. One of the safest and most effective forms of humor is gentle self-deprecation. When you poke fun at a small relatable flaw of your own, you do two things. You show that you don't take yourself too seriously, which signals confidence, and you make yourself instantly more relatable. Imagine you're giving a presentation and you accidentally skip a slide. The anxious response, "Oh, sorry, I think I missed something, apologies." This creates awkwardness. The humorous response with a small smile, "Apparently, my presentation is so excited to get to the end that it's decided to skip ahead." Let's rein it back in for a second. This isn't a joke. It's a moment of lightness. It acknowledges the mistake, diffuses the tension, and endears you to the audience. The key twist is to only ever joke about something you are clearly good at. If you're a brilliant public speaker, joking about a small slip-up is charming. If you're genuinely terrible at it, it just makes people uncomfortable. Poke fun at your strengths, never your weaknesses. Principle 2. The art of the unexpected observation. Wit isn't about inventing a joke. It's about noticing an absurdity or a connection that everyone else missed and pointing it out. It's about being present and playful. Let's say you're in a meeting that's running long and everyone is getting tired. The mood is low. You could say, "This meeting has been going on for so long, I think my coffee has aged into a fine wine." This isn't a hilarious punchline, but it's a witty observation that breaks the pattern. It names the shared experience in the room, fatigue, in a fresh and unexpected way. It provides a moment of shared release and instantly lifts the energy. The key is to keep it positive and inclusive. You're not mocking the meeting or the person running it. You're playfully commenting on the shared situation. Principle 3. Avoid the danger zones. The reason people fear humor is that they don't know the rules. The rules are actually very simple. To keep your humor positive and connective, avoid these 3 danger zones at all costs. Punching down. Never make a joke at the expense of someone with less power or status than you. It's not humor. It's bullying. Sarcasm with strangers. Sarcasm relies heavily on tone and pre-existing rapport. With people who don't know you well, it's often misinterpreted as genuine negativity or arrogance. Save it for close friends. Controversial topics. Unless you are a professional comedian, avoid jokes about politics, religion, or other sensitive identity topics in mixed company. The risk of causing genuine offense far outweighs any potential reward. Humor is a skill, and like any skill, it gets better with practice. Start small. Look for moments to inject lightness into your daily conversations. Make a playful observation. Use a bit of gentle self-deprecation. The goal isn't to get a huge laugh every time. The goal is to cultivate an attitude of playfulness and warmth. When you learn to wield the humor advantage, you become a source of positive energy. People will want to be around you. They will remember you. And they will be more open to your influence, all because you made them feel good. Section 14. Navigating difficult personalities. The interrupter. The narcissist and the naysayer. In a perfect world, every conversation would be with someone who is respectful, empathetic, and a great listener. But we don't live in a perfect world. Inevitably, you will find yourself face to face with difficult personalities, people whose communication style can drain your energy, hijack the conversation, and leave you feeling frustrated and unheard. Most people react to these situations in one of 2 ways. They either become passive and let the difficult person run all over them, or they become aggressive and get drawn into a pointless conflict. Both are losing strategies. The charismatic communicator has a third option: to respond with calm, strategic assertiveness. This isn't about changing the other person. You can't. It's about managing the interaction to protect your energy and achieve your objective. Let's create a tactical playbook for 3 of the most common archetypes you'll encounter: the interrupter, the narcissist, and the naysayer. Archetype 1. The interrupter. This is the person who constantly cuts you off mid-sentence. They're not always malicious. Often they are just overly excited or poor listeners. But the effect is the same. You can never finish a thought. The losing tactic. Stopping your thought and letting them take over. This trains them that interrupting you works. The winning playbook. The pause and reclaim technique. Don't stop talking immediately. When they start to interrupt, don't immediately surrender the floor. Continue your sentence for another word or 2. This subtle signal communicates that you're not finished. Hold up a hand gently. Raise your hand in a gentle, non-aggressive stop gesture. It's a universal non-verbal cue that says, "I have one more thing to say." Use a bridge phrase. Combine the gesture with a calm, assertive phrase. Hold that thought for just 1 second. "I just want to finish this point." Or, "That's a great point and I want to hear it." Let me just quickly finish this sentence. Finish concisely. Quickly and concisely finish your thought. Don't ramble. Then immediately turn the floor back to them. "Okay, you were saying?" This shows respect and proves you weren't trying to dominate, just to be heard. Archetype 2. The conversational narcissist. This is the person who makes every topic about themselves. You share a story about your vacation, and they immediately launch into a 20-minute monologue about their trip, which was obviously better. They ask you a question, but they're not listening to the answer. They're just waiting to talk about themselves again. The losing tactic, getting trapped in their monologue. waiting for a turn that never comes. The winning playbook, the acknowledge and pivot technique. Acknowledge and validate. Briefly acknowledge their point. Arguing with them is pointless. A simple "wow, that sounds like an incredible experience" is enough. This validates their need for attention. Find a bridge. Look for a tiny thread in their story that you can use to pivot the conversation back to a more inclusive topic. Execute the pivot. Use a bridging phrase to gently redirect. That's amazing. It actually reminds me of what third person's name was saying earlier about their trip. Jane, you were talking about, or to bring it back to the group's purpose, that's a great story. Speaking of big challenges, that ties back to the project we were discussing. You're not shutting them down. You're gracefully steering the conversation back on track. Archetype 3, the naysayer. This is the person who reflexively shoots down every idea. Before you even finish your sentence, they're shaking their head, ready with a list of reasons why it won't work. They often see themselves as just being realistic, but their constant negativity can kill creativity and morale. The losing tactic, getting defensive and arguing about why your idea is good. This puts you in a low-status position of justifying yourself. The winning playbook, the recruit them as an ally technique. Agree with their concern, do not fight their negativity. Instead, validate it. You're right, that is a potential risk. Or that's a really good point, I appreciate you bringing that up. This disarms them immediately. They are expecting a fight, and you've just offered an alliance. Shift to problem solving. Frame them as an expert problem solver. Since you have such a good eye for potential problems, how would you suggest we overcome that particular challenge? Or, given that risk, what would we need to have in place to make this work? Give them ownership. You have now shifted them from being an obstacle to being a co-creator of the solution. They are no longer attacking your idea from the outside, they are working on it from the inside. Navigating difficult personalities is a high-level skill. It requires you to detach your ego, stay calm under pressure, and be strategic. By mastering these playbooks, you can protect your peace, maintain your influence, and guide any conversation toward a more productive and positive outcome. We've all been in an argument we were desperate to win. You're armed with facts, logic, and a righteous sense of certainty. You lay out your case perfectly, dismantling their points one by one. You corner them with irrefutable proof until they finally concede. You stand victorious, breathing heavily in the silence. You won the battle. But as you look at the person across from you, their defensive posture, their resentful expression, you realize you've lost something far more important. You won the argument, but you lost the person. The greatest communicators understand a profound secret. Arguing and persuading are two completely different sports. Arguing is a battle of egos, a zero-sum game where one person must lose for the other to win. It creates resistance, resentment, and fractured relationships. Persuasion, on the other hand, is the art of collaboration. It's about winning someone over, not beating them down. It's not about proving you're right. It's about inviting them to see a new possibility together. Think of it like this. Trying to win an argument with brute force logic is like using a sledgehammer on a locked door. You might eventually break it down, but you'll destroy the door, the frame, and any trust you had in the process. Gentle persuasion is like being a master locksmith. You don't force it. You study the lock, you understand its unique mechanisms, and you gently find the right key to make the tumblers click into place. The door opens without any damage. So how do you become the locksmith instead of the sledgehammer? You use a three-step process: cross the bridge, find common ground, and offer the collaborative path. Step 1. Cross the bridge, validate their viewpoint. This is the most critical and counterintuitive step. Before you can bring someone over to your side, you must first prove that you are willing to cross over to theirs. Your first move must always be to find the kernel of truth or the positive intention in their position and genuinely acknowledge it. This instantly lowers their defenses because you are signaling that you are not an enemy. You are a partner in understanding. Let's say you're trying to convince your old-school boss to invest in new project management software. The old way is slow and inefficient, but it's what he knows. The sledgehammer approach. This old system is a dinosaur. It's costing us time and money, we have to switch. This immediately puts him on the defensive. The locksmith approach, crossing the bridge. John, I really appreciate the reliability and stability of the system you've built over the years. It's been the backbone of our workflow, and I understand why you trust it. You haven't conceded your point, but you have validated his. You've shown respect for his perspective. The bridge is now open for a real conversation. Step 2. Find common ground, frame with shared values. Once you've crossed the bridge, you don't immediately present your idea. Instead, you reframe the conversation around a value or a goal that you both share. You connect your proposal not to your own preference, but to the mission you are on together. Continuing the example, you know your boss deeply values efficiency and saving the company money. You frame the new software around that shared value. Since we both want to make sure the team is as efficient as possible and we're not wasting a dime on lost hours, I've been looking at a few tools that could amplify the great foundation you've already built. Now, the new software isn't your idea versus his system. It's a potential tool to help you both achieve a shared goal. You've moved from a battlefield to a collaborative workshop. Step 3. Offer the collaborative path. Invite, don't command. The final step is to present your idea not as a verdict, but as an invitation. You make it a low-risk collaborative exploration. People resist being told what to do, but they are often open to experimenting together. Finishing the conversation. I'm not suggesting we overhaul everything overnight. That would be crazy. But what if we ran a small 2-week pilot program with just the marketing team? We can track the time saved, and if it doesn't meet our efficiency goals, we can scrap it with no harm done. What are your thoughts on a small test like that? You've made it safe for him to say yes. It's a small experiment, not a massive commitment. You've asked for his thoughts, positioning him as a wise decision-maker rather than an obstacle. You haven't forced the door open. You've handed him the key and invited him to see what's on the other side. This is the art of gentle persuasion. It is the language of leaders, partners, and true influencers. It's a skill that preserves relationships, fosters collaboration, and ultimately achieves far more than brute force argument ever could. Section 16. Communication in love. The language of intimacy. Of all the arenas in which we communicate, none is more high stakes, more vulnerable, and more rewarding than a romantic relationship. The communication skills that help you succeed at work or charm at a party are only the beginning when it comes to building a deep, lasting intimacy with a partner. Here, the goal isn't just connection, it's a sacred trust. And yet, for so many couples, communication becomes a minefield. Over time, conversations get stuck in a cycle of misunderstandings, unspoken resentments, and defensive standoffs. You find yourselves having the same argument over and over again, but the fight about who was supposed to take out the trash isn't really about the trash. It's a coded message for something deeper. I feel unappreciated. I feel controlled. I feel like you don't see me. Think of your relationship like a garden. In the beginning, it's easy, but for it to flourish over the long term, it needs constant, gentle tending. Positive, empathetic communication is the sun and water that keeps it alive. Negative, defensive communication, the criticism, the contempt, the silent treatments, is the poison that slowly kills the roots. To cultivate a thriving garden, you need to master 3 core practices: speaking the language of I, navigating conflict with a blueprint, and making small, consistent bids for connection. Practice 1. The language of I, expressing needs without blame. The single most destructive habit in relationship conflict is the accusatory you statement. You never listen to me. You always leave your mess everywhere. You made me feel this way. The word you acts like a trigger for defensiveness. The moment someone hears it, their walls go up and they stop listening. The language of intimacy is the I statement. It shifts the focus from blaming the other person to expressing your own internal experience. It's vulnerable, but it's also disarming. It follows a simple formula. I feel your emotion when the specific situation, because the impact on you. What I need is a positive request. Instead of, you never help with the kids' bedtime routine. Try, I feel overwhelmed and alone when I'm handling the kids' bedtime by myself, because it feels like the day's responsibilities are all on me. What I need is for us to be a team during that last hour of the day. See the difference? You haven't attacked them. You've revealed your heart. You've given them a clear, positive path to helping you, instead of just a problem to defend against. Practice 2. The constructive conflict blueprint. Arguments are not a sign that your relationship is failing. They are inevitable. A healthy relationship isn't one without conflict, but one that knows how to repair. The goal of an argument shouldn't be to win, but to understand. Follow this blueprint. Seek understanding first. Start by letting one person speak fully without any interruption. The listener's only job is to listen, validate the feeling. When they are done, the listener's first words must be a validation of the emotion. This is not the same as agreeing with their facts. I can see why you would feel angry about that. Or it makes sense that you felt hurt when that happened. This proves you were listening. Share your perspective using I statements. Now, the roles switch. The second person shares their experience using the I statement framework. Brainstorm a solution together. Once both people feel heard and validated, you can stop being adversaries and start being partners. The question becomes, okay, how do we solve this problem together? Practice. 3. The currency of connection. Turning towards bids. According to renowned relationship researcher Dr. John Gottman, the true foundation of a lasting partnership isn't built in grand romantic gestures. It's built in tiny, mundane, everyday moments he calls bids for connection. A bid is any small attempt to get your partner's attention, affection, or support. It can be verbal like, hey, look at that bird outside, or non-verbal like a sigh or reaching for their hand. In each of these moments, you have a choice. You can turn towards the bid by engaging with it, or you can turn away by ignoring or dismissing it. Couples who thrive consistently turn towards each other's bids. The partner who looks up from their phone and says, "Oh wow, that's beautiful," in response to the bird comment, is depositing a coin in the relationship's emotional bank account. The partner who grunts and keeps scrolling is making a withdrawal. These small moments, compounded over years, are what build an unshakable foundation of trust, intimacy, and love. Master the language of I, learn to navigate conflict with a E, shared goal of understanding, and turn towards the small bids for connection every single day. That is the work of love. That is the language of true intimacy. Section 17. Speaking on the stage. From fear to flow state. There are few fears more primal and more universal than the fear of public speaking. The mere thought of it can trigger a full-blown physiological response. Your heart pounds in your chest, your palms get slick with sweat, your throat tightens, and your perfectly rehearsed speech evaporates from your mind, replaced by a roaring, static void. You're standing in front of a crowd, but you feel utterly and completely alone. This fear comes from a deep-seated part of our brain that equates public exposure with mortal danger. It's the spotlight fallacy, the crippling belief that a giant, high-wattage spotlight is fixed on you, illuminating every flaw, every stutter, every nervous twitch for a panel of harsh, silent judges. We become so trapped in our own heads, so terrified of being judged, that we forget why we're on the stage in the first place. But what if I told you the spotlight is an illusion? The audience doesn't have a spotlight on you. They each have a small flashlight, and they are pointing it at themselves. They aren't thinking, I hope this speaker is perfect. They are thinking, what's in this for me? Can this person solve my problem? Can they give me a new perspective? Can they make me feel inspired? The moment you understand this, the entire game changes. You can escape the prison of fear and enter the liberating power of a flow state. Flow is that magical state of being in the zone, where self-consciousness disappears and you become a clear, confident channel for your message. It's not about being a perfect performer. It's about being a passionate servant to the audience. Here is the 3-part method for moving from fear to flow. Part 1. Adopt the mission mindset. Your fear is rooted in your ego. It's worried about you, how you look, how you sound, if they will like you. The antidote to this self-focus is to adopt a mission mindset. Your mission is not to look good. Your mission is to give a gift to the audience. Before you ever write a single slide, you must answer one question. What is the one idea or the one feeling I want to give my audience that could genuinely improve their lives? This becomes your North Star. Every story you tell, every point you make, must serve this mission. When your focus shifts from how am I doing to how can I help them, your anxiety shrinks. It's no longer about you and your performance. It's about them and their transformation. You stop being a nervous speaker and become a passionate advocate for an idea that matters. This is the single most powerful mental shift you can make. Part 2. Nail the first. 30 seconds. The moment of peak anxiety is the countdown before you begin to speak. This is where the panic can hijack your brain. The key to short-circuiting this panic is to have your opening, the first 30 seconds, so thoroughly rehearsed that you could say it in your sleep. This doesn't mean memorizing your whole speech, which can make you sound robotic. It means owning your opening. Start with a shocking statistic, a provocative question, or a compelling short story. When you deliver a powerful, confident opening, you create a virtuous cycle. The audience leans in, their positive feedback gives you a surge of confidence, and that momentum carries you through the rest of the speech. A strong start is your lifeline to a strong performance. Part 3. Cultivate conversational energy. No one wants to be lectured by a stiff, robotic orator. People want to be in a conversation with a passionate, authentic human being. Your goal on stage is not to be a perfect speaker, but to be a slightly more energetic and projected version of your best conversational self. How do you do this? First, stop hiding behind the lectern. Move around the stage with purpose. Use hand gestures that are natural and congruent with your words. Second, find friendly faces. Scan the audience and find 3 or 4 people who are nodding, smiling, and engaged. For the rest of your speech, rotate your focus between them, as if you are having a series of small one-on-one conversations. This makes the experience feel far more intimate and less intimidating. It transforms a terrifying monologue into a series of engaging dialogues. Maria, a brilliant but shy founder, was terrified of pitching her startup to a room of 500 investors. She was obsessed with her fear of forgetting a line. I told her to forget the lines and focus on the mission. What is the one problem in the world you are dying to solve for people? She reframed her entire speech around that mission. She started not with her company's stats, but with a story of a real person her product helped. She wasn't a nervous founder anymore. She was a crusader. She found her flow, she connected with the audience, and she left the stage not drained, but electrified. The stage is not a place of judgment. It is a place of service. Shift your mindset from performance to mission, nail your opening, and connect with conversational energy. Do this, and you won't just overcome your fear. You'll discover the exhilarating joy of sharing your voice with the world. In the high-stakes world of communication, there is one skill that is practiced the least, but holds the most power to heal, repair, and restore integrity. It's a skill that most of us are terrible at, because our ego fights it at every turn. It is the art of the true apology. We've all received the fake apology, the non-apology that adds insult to the original injury. It's the "I'm sorry if you felt hurt," which implies the problem is your feelings, not their actions. It's the "I'm sorry but you were being too sensitive," which is just an accusation disguised as an apology. These are acts of self-preservation designed to end a conflict without taking any real responsibility. They are cheap, they are weak, and they erode trust. A true apology is the opposite. It is not an act of weakness. It is an act of profound strength. It is a declaration that you value the relationship more than you value your own pride. It doesn't erase what happened, but it paves the way for a stronger future. It is the ultimate tool of emotional repair. A true apology is not complicated, but it is not easy. It consists of 3 non-negotiable parts. Acknowledge the harm, articulate the remorse, and announce the change. Part 1. Acknowledge the specific harm. A vague, "I'm sorry for what happened," is meaningless. A true apology begins by specifically naming the action and acknowledging the harm it caused from the other person's perspective. This proves that you have listened, you have understood, and you are not making excuses. Instead of, "I'm sorry about the meeting earlier," you must say, "I want to apologize for cutting you off and dismissing your idea in the team meeting this morning. I know that was disrespectful and it was completely out of line." This step is about pure validation. You are showing them that you see the situation through their eyes and that their hurt is legitimate. You are taking full ownership of your actions without a single "but" or "if" to dilute it. Part 2. Articulate the sincere remorse. This is where you connect your action to your own feelings of regret. It's where you show that this isn't just a strategic move, but a moment of genuine self-reflection. This is the part that communicates, "I feel bad because I caused you pain." Continuing the example, "I've been thinking about it all afternoon and I'm genuinely sorry. There's no excuse for my behavior. I feel terrible that I put you in that position and made you feel unheard in front of the entire team." This step is about empathy. You are showing that their pain has registered with you on an emotional level. The words "I feel terrible" or "I deeply regret" are far more powerful than a simple "I'm sorry," because they reveal your own emotional state and prove your sincerity. Part 3. Announce the commitment to change. This is the final and most crucial part. An apology without a commitment to change is just a temporary ceasefire. It's the promise to do better that rebuilds trust for the future. You must state, clearly and specifically, what you will do differently to ensure the mistake does not happen again. Finishing the apology. This is something I need to work on. From now on, I am going to make a conscious effort to listen fully and ensure everyone gets a chance to speak without interruption from me. It will not happen again. Let me tell you about a manager named Mark. He publicly criticized a junior designer, Chloe, during a presentation, saying her work was uninspired. He saw her crestfallen face, and later, feeling awkward, he mumbled, "Sorry if I was a bit harsh back there." Chloe just nodded, but the trust was broken. The next day, Mark realized the damage he'd done. He asked Chloe to speak privately and delivered a true apology. He said, "Hi, Chloe, I need to apologize. What I said about your work in yesterday's meeting was unprofessional and deeply unfair. I acknowledge the harm. I put my own stress ahead of your dignity, and I am truly sorry for the embarrassment and hurt I caused you. I articulated the remorse. It was a failure of my leadership, and it's not how I want to lead this team. I'm going to make sure that from now on, all feedback is given constructively and in private. I announced the change. I really value your creativity, and I failed to show it. I hope you can give me a chance to earn back your trust." Chloe was stunned. The apology didn't magically erase the memory, but it did something more important. It healed the wound. It restored her respect for him and made her feel safe again. That is the power of a true apology. It is one of the highest forms of communication, a testament to your character, and the bedrock of any resilient and lasting relationship. Section 19. The Leader's Voice. Inspiring action and loyalty. The word leader often conjures an image of a CEO in a corner office, a general on a battlefield, or a politician at a podium. But this is a narrow and outdated view. The truth is, you are a leader. You are a leader when you guide your family through a crisis, when you mentor a junior colleague, when you organize a community event, or when you simply inspire a friend to believe in themselves. Leadership is not a title. It is an action. And at the heart of that action is a specific way of communicating, the leader's voice. The leader's voice is not about being the loudest, the most commanding, or the most charismatic person in the room. It's about using your words to do three things: to build trust, to clarify purpose, and to unlock the potential in others. It's a voice that doesn't just give directions. It inspires commitment. People don't follow a title out of obligation for long. They follow a voice they trust out of genuine loyalty. So how do you cultivate this voice? It stands on three essential pillars. Pillar 1, communicate the why before the what. Most managers communicate by giving a list of tasks. I need you to finish this report, schedule that meeting, and update the spreadsheet. This is the language of management, not leadership. It creates employees who comply, not collaborators who are committed. A leader always starts with the why. They communicate the mission, the purpose, and the story behind the tasks. They paint a vivid picture of the destination before they ever hand out a map. Instead of, "We need to increase sales by 15% this quarter," the leader's voice says, "Every time we make a sale, we are helping a small business owner spend more time with their family because our software is saving them 10 hours of administrative work a week. That is our mission. Now let's brainstorm how we can reach 15% more of those business owners this quarter." When people understand the purpose behind their work, their effort is no longer just a task. It's a contribution to something meaningful. Communicating the why is what turns a job into a calling. Pillar 2. Deliver feedback that fuels growth. Not fear feedback is the engine of growth, but for most people, giving and receiving it is a terrifying experience. A weak leader either avoids giving feedback entirely or delivers it as harsh personal criticism that deflates and demotivates. The leader's voice delivers feedback that is clear, compassionate, and actionable. Use the future-focused framework. Start with shared purpose. As you know, our goal is to become the best creative team in the industry. State the specific observation, behavior, not personality. I noticed in the client presentation that when you were asked a question, you gave a one-word answer and moved on. Explain the impact. The impact was that it shut down the conversation and missed an opportunity for us to understand their needs better. Collaborate on a future solution. Moving forward, what if we work together on a strategy to see those questions as opportunities to engage and build rapport? I'm here to help you practice that. This isn't criticism. It's coaching. It's not about what they did wrong in the past. It's about how you can help them win in the future. Pillar 3. Build psychological safety through vulnerability. The ultimate mark of a great leader is the creation of psychological safety. An environment where people feel safe enough to take smart risks, to admit mistakes, and to challenge the status quo without fear of humiliation. This safety is not created through commands. It's created through modeling. A leader who pretends to be perfect and infallible creates a team of people who are terrified to admit their own mistakes. But a leader who openly admits when they are wrong and who shares their own struggles and uncertainties gives their team permission to be human. Imagine a project fails. A weak leader asks, "Whose fault is this?" The team goes silent and everyone looks for someone to blame. The true leader asks, "What can we learn from this?" And they start by saying, "Here's where I went wrong." This vulnerability doesn't make them look weak. It makes them look authentic, trustworthy, and strong. It transforms a culture of fear into a culture of learning. The leader's voice is a choice. It's the choice to communicate the why, to give feedback that builds people up, and to be vulnerable enough to create real safety. Cultivate this voice and you won't just manage tasks. You will inspire loyalty, unlock greatness, and lead people to places they never thought they could go on their own. Section 20. Beyond the Code, the lifelong journey of connection. And so, we arrive at the end of our journey together. You've been given the keys to the Charisma Code. You've learned how to broadcast confidence, how to listen with a social X-ray, how to engineer deep connection, and how to tell stories that hack the human heart. You've forged a bulletproof mindset and set a new, higher standard for your voice. It would be easy to close this chapter and think, "Okay, I've mastered it. I have the manual." But that would be the final illusion, because the ultimate secret of communication is this: it is not a subject to be mastered, but a practice to be lived. There is no finish line. There is no final exam. There is only the journey. You are not a graduate who is finished with their studies. You are a musician who has just been handed a beautiful, complex instrument. You've learned the scales and you've practiced the chords, but the real art lies in the lifelong commitment to playing it with more heart, more skill and more soul every single day. As you step back out into the world, I want to leave you with a final guiding philosophy. Think of it as the spirit that animates all the techniques you've learned. First, remain a perpetual student. The most boring people in the world are the ones who think they have it all figured out. The most magnetic are the ones who remain insatiably curious. Every single person you meet, from the barista to the CEO, is a living library holding stories, experiences, and perspectives you could never imagine. Approach every conversation not as a test to be passed, but as a universe to be explored. Let curiosity be your compass. Second, embrace your beautiful human imperfection. You will still have awkward pauses. You will still say the wrong thing. You will still have moments where your fear gets the best of you. Do not see these as failures. See them as data. See them as reps in the social gym. The master has not avoided mistakes. The master has learned from more mistakes than the beginner has ever even attempted. Your stumbles do not disqualify you. They qualify you as someone who is brave enough to be in the arena. And finally, and most importantly, understand the power of the ripple effect. Your commitment to becoming a better communicator is not just a gift to yourself. It is a gift to everyone whose life you touch. In a world that feels increasingly divided, loud, and lonely, a single act of deep listening, a single moment of genuine empathy, a single story that bridges a divide, these are not small things. They are radical acts of healing. The warmth you show to a stressed cashier can change their entire day. The courage you model by speaking your truth can inspire a colleague to find their own voice. The empathy you offer to a struggling friend can be the lifeline they desperately needed. Your voice, when used with intention, compassion, and courage, becomes a force for good that ripples out in ways you will never even see. You came here looking for a way to transform your social life, but I hope you leave with something far more profound. The realization that by transforming your communication, you have the power to transform the world around you. One conversation at a time. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The world is waiting to hear your voice rise and speak. The world is waiting to hear your voice rise and speak.